We're not quite halfway through the year yet, but I think I'm ready to film this video. I usually save it for June, but honestly, there have been so many drugstore launches in 2025 so far. They have slowed down a little bit, and I'm not sure that brands are going to end up launching too many new products between now and June, so I figured I would film this video and share my thoughts on the best drugstore releases in 2025 so far. I have tried tons of products this year, especially from the drugstore, and these are some of the best products I've tried ever. Honestly, I had a hard time narrowing this list down. I ended up crossing off a bunch of products that were really good, even great products, but weren't necessarily like the top tier launches of the year. So I don't know exactly how many I have to share in today's video, but please know I was kind of picky with this list. These are things you've heard me talk about quite a bit on my channel, so it might be a little bit repetitive if you watch a lot of my drugstore content, but I always like to do just like a mid-year roundup because there are so many launches and I do review so much. After all of that time, I want to come back and share what I think are the top tier options, the best products out there. So let's get into it. Let's start, I'm just looking through my list. Let's start with eyes. There actually were not a lot of eye products that made this video, just two. So the first one is from e.l.f. This is their Keep It Ethereal Palette. So I bought this one because I heard someone say it was a dupe for the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette. This is part of the e.l.f. Perfect 10 line, and I did try some of the palettes from that line last year, and I thought they were really good. So I decided to grab this one, partly because I was curious if it was an actual dupe, and I knew that I did like the formula from the line as a whole. I have to say they did something to this one because this palette feels even better than the other palettes that I've tried from the line previously. I'm wearing this on my eyes today. It was just a very quick, easy, simple look. The matte shadows are super easy to work with. They blend out so easily. They're more of a buildable formula, so you can create a softer look, but I've also done more of a smoky eye, which I'll include in today's video so you can see what it looks like. And I do think for a neutral, pretty basic palette, you can get quite a few looks out of this. The shimmers in here are really interesting because some of them give that scattered glitter effect, kind of like the one I have on my eyes today, and then some give more of like an opaque metallic finish. This palette really is the closest dupe to the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette I've seen. That palette actually isn't available any longer, so if you missed out on it and you like the color story, you like the idea of it, this is a really great alternative. It's a lot less expensive and you can get an identical look. In fact, I feel like I've been able to create like 3 or 4 looks using the palettes side by side and they look the same every single time. I would say the main difference between this palette and Makeup by Mario's palette is the way the shimmers feel. I like to apply shimmers with my finger, and Makeup by Mario shimmer is more of like a very light, silky, barely there texture. You can tap it on, it gives you like that scattered glitter effect, whereas this shimmer feels a little bit thicker, kind of on the dry side, but not in a bad way. But on the eyes, it looks the exact same. You can get a super similar, if not identical effect every single time. So honestly, in the end, you really can't tell a difference. Like if I'm wearing these side by side, there is no difference. As a standalone palette, like not judging it against the Makeup by Mario palette, it really is just a great staple neutral palette. I don't know if you really need another neutral palette or if your collection is full of them, but if you are looking for an affordable option from the drugstore, highly recommend this one. The other palette is a $6 eyeshadow palette from Catrice. This is their new Tiny Treasures eyeshadow palette. I have the Everyday Essentials one, and again, just a good staple neutral eyeshadow palette. This is the perfect size if you are doing your makeup on the go, if you're traveling, if you just like to keep your collection a little bit more minimal, because it is very tiny, but it has everything you need for like a perfect, easy, smoky eyeshadow look. Again, the mattes in here are very smooth, very buildable, so you can get a little bit of a softer look, but in general, I do reach for this when I want something more smoky, more intense. And then there are 2 metallics in here that are incredibly smooth, very vibrant. They're kind of similar to like the ColourPop Super Shock shadows or even Natasha Denona's metallic formula. It's like that creamy, super soft, very intense, wet looking shadow on the eyes. I absolutely love this little palette. I know Catrice is not available in stores. A lot of you were like, I wish they sold them at Ulta in stores so I could check the products out in person, and I totally understand, but they do ship very quickly from their website. That's where I usually order, but you can also find some of their products on Amazon. I know they're sold in stores in other countries, so you might be able to find this in store if you don't live in the US, but I'm telling you, if you're looking for a great shadow or a great formula that's super affordable, you really can't find $6 eyeshadow palettes anywhere anymore. I mean, even quads at the drugstore are significantly more expensive than that, and the quality isn't always as good. This really does feel like a high-end palette in my opinion, but again, at $6. Catrice also launched a new highlighter formula that I absolutely love. I actually bought these because I was kind of curious if they were going to be a dupe for the Rare Beauty highlighters. They look very, very similar, but they are a little bit different. I still think they're a really good alternative, and you might actually like the way these look on the skin better than the Rare Beauty ones. So these are called the Pearlfection highlighters. They did launch 2 different shades. This formula is a little bit creamier than the Rare Beauty formula. It's also more sturdy in the pan, which does make a difference. The Rare Beauty formula is gorgeous, but it is such a silky, very fine, very fragile powder. I think I've broken almost every single one of my Rare Beauty highlighters. I currently have like 2 in my collection that are not broken because I ended up repurchasing them, and I have been extremely careful with them, but they really are so, so fragile. Because the powder is so fine and so silky, it applies beautifully to the skin. It never looks heavy or cakey, and it gives you like this true glass-like sheen. Anyway, all of that being said, this Catrice formula gives a very similar look to the skin, but because it has more of a creamy texture, I almost find it to be a little bit more flattering on the skin. It's still very, very intense, very, very vibrant, but it's just a little bit more forgiving. You can absolutely build this up to get the most intense glow, but you can also go in with a lighter amount to get a little bit of a softer glow. I feel like it's kind of hard to get a soft glow with the Rare Beauty highlighter because it is so intense. So I kind of like that I can, customize my look a little bit easier with this formula. Now, if you actually do prefer a liquid highlighter, this is one of the best formulas I've ever tried. It's from Profusion. It's their Radiant Glow Illuminating Liquid Highlighter. So again, this comes in 2 different shades. There's a really beautiful pink toned one and then a gold one. And liquid highlighters, I feel like they always sound good in theory to me, but they don't always play well with makeup. They're not always as easy to use as you would like them to be. Some liquid highlighters are a little bit too watery, some are a little bit too oily, so they end up erasing your makeup underneath, and some end up looking cakey or heavy and don't layer or play well with other products. This formula is so easy to work with. In fact, if you're new to liquid highlighter, I would recommend trying this one because it's just such an effortless formula. You can take a sponge, a brush, your finger, tap it on, and it looks so good on the skin. And it's also really nice to mix into other products because again, it just plays well with other formulas. It's very thin, but very glowy, and you can build it up to look really intense on the skin. But no matter what, it does give your skin just like this gorgeous, not like a natural sheen, but it doesn't look like you're wearing a stripe of highlighter because it blends and just kind of sits on top of other products so beautifully. Skin tints are absolutely everywhere. I feel like for a lot of people, a good skin tint is their daily go-to in terms of complexion products. Without a doubt, this is my absolute favorite formula, drugstore or high-end. It is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Skin Tint Stick. I know I've talked about this on my channel in at least like 10 different videos because I cannot get enough of it, and it really surprised me how much I ended up liking it. I almost skipped over it because typically, even though skin tints are so popular, I found that a lot of products that are marketed as skin tints don't end up working out for me. They just don't last well on my skin. They aren't as flattering as I would expect them to be. And that's just not the case with this. This goes on beautifully. It is truly an effortless product to apply. You just swipe it on, blend it in, whether you're using your fingers or a brush, and it melts into the skin in the most perfect way. Now, I will say, if you have very dry skin, you might prefer something a little bit more moisturizing. My skin is combo, so I did deal with a good amount of dryness when I first started using this in the beginning of the year, and I felt like it looked really flattering on my skin, but I have tried a few skin tint sticks that are more moisturizing, even more moisturizing than this, that end up breaking apart on me. The reason why I like this one is because it's not overly creamy. Like, it is creamy enough that it melts into the skin and it blends out in 2 seconds, which is what I want when I'm reaching for like a daily go-to effortless product, but it actually locks down and stays in place pretty well. I will say it's May, so we haven't experienced like extremely hot weather where I live, and my skin is getting a little bit more oily, but it hasn't been full on oily. So I'm not sure that this will be my go-to product on like a 90-degree day in July, but throughout the first 5 months of the year, I've loved it. I have used it so frequently, so often. If you're in a hurry, if you want something that blends out quickly, stays in place nicely, evens out your skin, looks skin-like, doesn't feel heavy, builds well, this really is such a great option. I have been blown away by it. If you're not a skin tint person and you want like a true liquid foundation that does have more of a light to medium coverage finish, I highly recommend the Revolution Beauty Skin Silk. This is their Radiant Satin Serum Foundation. It is such a beautiful formula, and I've tried quite a few glowy, hydrating, radiant foundations from Sephora at this point, and this one, in my opinion, is better than pretty much anyone that I've tried from a higher end brand. It does leave your skin looking glowy and smooth and radiant and hydrated and just really healthy. It has enough coverage to really even out your skin tone, but it doesn't look like a full mask of foundation when you're wearing it. It is very thin, so you do get that true serum-like quality to it, so it blends out really well, and then it looks like skin. It doesn't look heavy, it doesn't look cakey at all. For more of a glowy hydrating foundation, I do feel like it stays in place pretty well, but I would mostly recommend this to you if you have normal or dry skin, maybe combo, but definitely not like full-on oily skin. Again, for me, like mid-July, 90-degree day, super humid, I probably won't end up reaching for this because I don't think it would last quite as well on me. But I do think in terms of like a glowy hydrating formula, this is a great option. I would say try this one out. They have 40 different shades, so a lot to choose from, and it is significantly less expensive than what you can find at Sephora, but in my opinion, the quality is even better. They also did a Skin Silk Under Eye Brightener and Concealer. I tried this product first, and then I talked about this in a video, and a bunch of you were like, you have to try the foundation. So thank you for recommending the foundation to me because I do love it, but this product is just as good. This really surprised me because typically I don't love a super light coverage concealer, and I don't use a lot of under eye brighteners. I just feel like it's one of those extra steps in my routine that I can easily skip over if I'm in a hurry. But this product is gorgeous, and it really is like a brightener concealer all in one, perfect for more natural makeup days, or just perfect if you like lighter coverage in general. This is, again, very thin, so it has that serum-like texture and feel. It does have a nice kind of cooling metal applicator that feels good under the eyes, but unlike the Rare Beauty Under Eye Brightener, which is what I would most compare this one to, this applicator picks up a good amount of product, so you don't feel like you have to dip back in multiple times. The reason why I like this better than Rare Beauty's is also because it has a little bit of coverage. Now, to be fair, Rare Beauty doesn't market theirs as like a concealer and an under eye brightener. I think they just market it as an under eye brightener, so it's not quite the same exact product, but I like this because you don't have to go in with a concealer on top. And sometimes if you're using like a true concealer on top of like a very light, very natural under eye brightener, it completely covers it up. So you don't really get those bright eyed, or you don't really get the, what am I trying to say? You don't really get the bright effect the under eye brightener is providing in the first place, if that makes sense. So a 2-in-1 is great. It really is. It cuts down on the amount of products you have to use. It cuts down on the time it takes to apply a product in your routine. And this is so light, so comfortable, very hydrating. It's super thin, so it will crease if you have under eye wrinkles or fine lines. But if you set it in place with powder, it actually stays in place extremely well throughout the day, which did surprise me just because a lot of very thin products like this don't last really well on my skin, but this one does. I just reapplied my lip products. So you know what, let's switch it up. Let's talk about some lip products and I'll just kind of jump around for the rest of the video. This is the only product in today's video that I haven't talked about previously on my channel because it is a little bit newer to me, but as soon as I tried this, I was like, I have to buy more. This is my absolute favorite product. I want to go as far as to say it's like my favorite lip balm ever, but again, because it is a little bit newer to me, we'll see, but I've been reaching for it over any other lip balm in my collection. It's from Cocokind. It's their Ceramide Lip Blur Balm. So I have it in the shade Be Powerful. Now I do have a lipstick on underneath, so it's not quite this intense, but I'll do a swatch so you can see what it looks like on bare lips. This is different. A lot of lip balms feel so similar on the lips. They vary a little bit in terms of thickness. Like some are very thin, some are like a medium thickness, some are really thick, almost feel like a lip mask. This one is thin. It's super glossy, so shiny, but it has this creaminess to it that I feel like a lot of other lip balms are missing. It's so smooth, it's so cushiony when you first apply it, and then as you wear it, it thins out a little bit, but it still looks amazingly glossy as you have it on. And the moisturizing feel actually lasts for like 2 hours after you initially apply it, which might not sound like a long time. Like, yeah, a lip product feels smooth and glossy for 2 hours, but that is a long time, especially for a lip balm. A lot of lip balms end up wearing off for me in like 20 minutes. If it's a really good lip balm, I feel like I can feel the effects for maybe an hour, a little bit longer, but this is the longest lasting lip balm in terms of, yeah, I mean, I was going to say just in terms of the way it feels, but even the color lasts pretty well on my lips too. They do have some deeper options, which I'm curious to try, but I'm telling you, this is such a pretty formula. The formula I would have named as my top #1 before trying that is the ColourPop Fresh Kiss Glossy Lip Balm formula. I still think this is the closest Summer Fridays dupe that I've ever tried. There are 8 different shades. I have all of them, but I can't find all of them because, again, this is something that I bring with me when I'm on the go. So they're probably like spread throughout my house, my car. I have 5 different options, so I will swatch these and apply these on the lips for you so you can see what they look like. I say that they're a Summer Fridays dupe, but I think I actually like them a little bit better. The texture feels very, very similar, but I think ColourPop's formula is longer lasting than Summer Fridays. Overall, I do find it to be a little bit more pigmented as well. Obviously, that depends on which shade you choose, but a lot of the Summer Fridays shades end up looking very similar on my lips, with the exception of the cherry one, which is more vibrant. And ColourPop has a better range. Like, they have some lighter, softer shades, but they also have some deeper shades that are more vibrant on the lips. These smell so good. The scents are pretty intense, so if you don't like really scented lip products, that might be something to keep in mind. So honestly, again, at this point, I just don't think you need to buy the high-end lip balms if you don't want to. If you like high-end lip balms, go for it. There are a lot of fun formulas, a lot of great options, but you can get a really great formula that is just as good, in fact, slightly better for $9. So if there's a shade that appeals to you, I do recommend these. I know that I've talked about the e.l.f. lip balms a little bit on my channel. These are the Glow Reviver Melting Lip Balms. These are pretty close to the ColourPop lip balms, but I like those just slightly better. They are longer lasting, and I feel like the e.l.f. lip balm is a little bit more oily feeling. Not in a bad way. These apply really well. Again, they smell so good. And I do think the e.l.f. formula is the most pigmented out of any of the lip balms I'm mentioning in today's video, and really out of all of the lip balms I've tried. They have really great scents to choose from. They look super glossy, very, very shiny. They just don't last quite as long as ColourPop or Summer Fridays or Ole Henriksen or Cocokind. So if you don't mind reapplying your lip balm multiple times throughout the day, and maybe a little bit faster than you would if you had another formula on hand, I say go for it. These smell good. They look really pretty. And again, they look the most vibrant on me. I can't say if that's the case for everyone. If there's another formula you love that's more vibrant on you, you'll have to let us know in the comments. But I know for a lot of people, a lip balm just doesn't have enough pigment. So if you want something that shows up a little bit better, these might be more ideal for that reason. This is easily one of like my top 5 favorite makeup launches of the year so far. It's from LA Girl. It is the On Cloud 9 Bouncy Blush and Bronzer Duo. So originally I bought this one, and then just recently I bought a second one in a different color story. So the one that I've worn for the majority of the time I've had it is Misty Mauve. It comes with a gorgeous bronzer, blush, super flattering on my skin. They're very light, very soft. So if you have a similar skin tone to me or lighter, this one might be more ideal for you. And then I wanted to try out another one. This one is Coral Bliss. It's definitely more vibrant on the skin. The bronzer looks pretty intense, but on the cheeks, it is a little bit softer. I'll do swatches for you so you can see what it looks like. And then I think the third one is even deeper than this. This formula is just easy. It's effortless. You can't mess it up. Like, it never looks patchy. It never looks uneven. And it's almost hard to over apply it. Obviously, like if you go in with a shade that's a little bit deeper than your skin, maybe you can end up going overboard, but because it is such like a melty, forgiving, beautiful, smoothing formula, it just looks good every time. And if you like the Rare Beauty blush formula, that new like matte bouncy blush formula, you'll like this. It's like the exact same formula, but these come with a blush and a bronzer. So these are a great alternative. In my opinion, I feel like the formulas really don't feel any different on the skin. The last 2 cheek products that I want to mention are from Versed. So Versed is one of my favorite skincare lines at the drugstore. A lot of people didn't know, and I myself didn't know either, but the founder of Merit Beauty is also the founder of Versed. So when Versed launched a makeup line earlier this year, a lot of people were curious if the formulas would end up being similar to Merit's formulas, and a lot of the products are, you know, kind of close, maybe inspired by Merit launches. But obviously, because it is a drugstore brand, there they're less expensive. They're definitely not the most affordable line at the drugstore. I feel like a lot of the products retail for around the $15 price point, so a little bit higher for sure, but these two products really are gorgeous, and in my opinion, they're a great alternative to Merit's blushes and highlighters. So these are the Shade Swipe blush sticks. I have two different shades that I'll share with you, and these are gorgeous. I almost like them better than Merit's blushes. I guess it depends on the look I'm going for and what kind of mood I'm in. Merit's formula is like a true sheer kind of balmy formula. There's a good amount of pigment, like you can absolutely build that formula up, but it does end up looking sheer on the skin. Like if you layer it on your skin on top of bare skin or a lighter coverage product, you'll see your skin through it. If you have a lot of freckles like me, you'll see your freckles through it because it's not an opaque finish. This formula is more buildable for sure. You definitely get more of an opaque finish initially. You can sheer it out to look a little bit more natural on the skin, and I'll show you what it looks like next to one of Merit's blushes, but you can also build it up, and it's definitely more buildable. You can get like a true, almost opaque finish to it. So I almost think these are better because you can wear them a couple of different ways, whereas Merit's formula is going to give you like a very distinct type of look. This feels great on the skin. It's very moisturizing, very glowy, really pretty, but I also think this actually lasts better on the skin than Merit's formula as well. So I think overall it is a better option. It's less expensive. They don't have quite as many shades. They only have 5, but it is a newer line. So I think within the 5 shades they have, there's a good range of like lighter, softer shades, deeper shades. And if there's one that matches up to a Merit blush you've had your eye on, maybe check out this line because in my opinion, there's just more ways to wear it. The High Points Illuminating Stick is basically, you know, spot on identical to Merit's highlighter stick. Spot on identical on the skin. The textures are slightly different. Like Merit's formula feels a little bit more melty, a little more balmy, but on the skin, they look the exact same. And again, because this one is, you know, I don't want to say thicker. That doesn't necessarily sound appealing when you're talking about makeup, but it is a little thicker. It's like a true cream compared to like Merit's balmy formula. It lasts longer on the skin, but on the cheeks, it looks the same because the whole thing behind this highlighter and Merit's highlighter is that there is no shimmer, no glitter, just like a nice glossy, dewy finish. And that's what you get out of both formulas. So again, if you like Merit's formula, but you don't want to spend the money, highly recommend checking this one out. You really can't tell a difference once this is on the skin, and it blends out the same exact way. The only difference is that this one feels slightly creamier. I do have 2 powders to share in today's video. At this point, if you have a lot of powder in your collection, you probably don't need to run out and buy like every single new launch because a lot of powders end up giving a very similar effect. There are so many great formulas out there. I wouldn't say it's a category where I feel like I never get what I need. It almost feels like whenever I try a powder, I'm like, yeah, this is great. I love it. But there are 2 that did stand out to me. One is actually pretty unique. It's the e.l.f. Halo Glow Pressed Powder Filter. This, people either love this or they hate it. It's not going to be for everyone. This is interesting to me because it is a glowy powder. And I feel like that sounds like it shouldn't exist. Most powders are meant to mattify, maybe blur the skin, smooth the skin, but not many like true powders end up adding a glow unless they're super shimmery, super glittery. This one is not shimmery and it's not glittery, but it adds the most gorgeous glow to the skin. I'll show you a couple of different ways I apply this. So I'll show you what it looks like with a light layer on the skin. You'll see a before and after. It doesn't necessarily look incredibly different, but my skin just looks a little more skin-like. It's not as flat or as matte as before I applied this product. You can go in with a light hand if you don't want like a true glowy finish. If you want your skin to look extremely glowy, you can take I always think I have one in front of me and then I don't, like a little velour puff and use it to actually set your makeup and your skin will look full on glowy. That being said, it will have a tendency to enhance large pores, texture because it is a glowy powder. And I personally like to use it more so as a finishing powder, but that is an option if you want a really like intense glowy look. You can still build this up to look pretty glowy on the skin by just using like a large fluffy brush. I love using it as a finishing powder because I will apply bronzer, bronzer, blush, all of my complexion products, and then I'll go in with this and really buff it on the skin, and it just adds this intense glow to the skin. It is so beautiful, and it also smooths over everything. So it really is a great finishing powder if you like the idea of a glowy look in the end. Now, if you like a good color correcting powder, but you find that a lot of the powders on the market are a little bit too intense for you, this is definitely a great option to try. It's from Essence. It's their Flawless Skin Trio Loose Setting Powder. So many of you have told me that you've picked this up after I've recommended it, because I know I've talked about it a lot on my channel. You're probably getting sick of hearing about it, but it is so good. And I'm so happy to hear that a lot of you love this, because I was just blown away by the quality from the first time I tried it. It's a super light, super fine powder, so it really does have that undetectable feel on the skin. It's not heavy, it's not cakey, it doesn't leave your skin looking overly matte. Like, it definitely mattifies the skin when you initially apply it, but throughout the day, your skin doesn't have that super flat matte look. And it comes in 3 different shades. So you get a peach, a pink, and a purple, so you can mix them together, or you can go in with one shade if you do want those color correcting properties. But because it's not like a super heavy powder, I feel like you get a slight pink tint or a slight purple tint or a slight peach tint without it being over the top. So it just looks a little bit softer on the skin, a little bit more natural, but it is a gorgeous, smoothing, blurring finish, or it has a gorgeous, smoothing, blurring quality to it. So you get that really nice, flawless finish. Let's finish up with a couple of lip products. So summer is right around the corner, and I feel like I tend to reach for this type of product more so during the summer than I do any other time of the year, just because it is extremely long lasting. And by the way, I'm doing a video on the longest lasting makeup products. That should be up very, very soon. But I love this launch from NYX. It's their Lip IV Hydrating Gloss Serum. I actually wore this quite a bit during the when did they launch this? I want to say they initially launched it in like winter, either like end of winter, early spring. That's when I started wearing this product a lot, because it is super hydrating. So it is a glossy lip stain. So obviously it starts off glossy, and this looks really pretty on the lips. You get kind of like a gel-like texture, so it can be sheared out to look a little bit softer, but you can also layer this up if you want full opacity, which is nice too. And the glossy layer stays in place pretty well. And then once that wears off, you're left with a stain. I will say the lighter shade I have doesn't really stain very much at all, but the 2 deeper shades definitely leave behind a pretty intense stain. They have 16 shades to choose from, and I feel like they have a pretty good range. So whether you're looking for a berry, a red, like this deep vampy purple, a nude, they have quite a few options to choose from, which is nice, because usually when a brand launches a glossy lip stain, they launch maybe like 4 or 5 shades, and there aren't quite as many to choose from. You get the typical berry, red, corally shade, but I think NYX has some interesting colors you don't see from other brands. So that's definitely a selling point for me. I love the texture when you apply this, because it's like a cushiony gel. It's super comfortable. It's fun to wear. And even once that glossy layer wears off, I usually end up reapplying it, because I love the super shiny finish and the way it feels on the lips. The stain does last pretty well throughout the day, and I like that it actually feels hydrating. Like, this product does not dry my lips out. So many glossy lip stains end up drying my lips out so fast, and this one's actually very comfortable, both while the glossy layer is still intact and even once it wears off. I love the way it feels with the gloss on top, so I usually end up just reapplying it throughout the day a couple of times anyway, just to have like that true glossy sheen. But it's nice because once it wears off, you have that stain, and you can just throw on a lip balm, a lip gloss, a lip oil, and you're good to go. The last thing I wanted to mention are these lipsticks from Hard Candy. Hard Candy has had a lot of great launches over the past year or two, and these lipsticks are great. They came out with 5 shades, but they come in 2 different finishes. So they have a glossy high shine finish, and then they have more of like a matte blurring lipstick. I personally like the lip shine line a little bit better, because you get rich, glossy, moisturizing color. I'm wearing this color underneath that Cocokind lip balm, and honestly, I feel like without the lip balm on top, you almost get a very similar effect, because they are so glossy, really shiny. So really comfortable to wear. And normally I don't love a shiny, rich, vibrant lipstick, but these are so beautiful and so easy to apply that I actually find myself wearing them quite a bit. They have a nice kind of like vanilla cake scent to them, so they smell really good in my opinion. They're not transfer proof or extremely long wearing, but they kind of eliminate the need for a lipstick and a lip gloss if you want like an all-in-one. I feel like most people might actually end up preferring the lip blur formula. This is nice because they actually created it to be worn kind of sheared out. So you can apply this, and then on the other end, there's like a blotter that you can use to blend it in. So you can get like that true blotted lip effect, or you can gradually layer it up for more of an intense opaque finish. These are nice because they're not uncomfortable. Even though they're matte lipsticks, I feel like they feel pretty silky, pretty smooth on the lips. They wear pretty well throughout the day. They don't claim to stain the lips, but I do feel like some of the deeper shades end up staining a little bit, so they last pretty well, even if I'm eating and drinking throughout the day. If you watch my videos, you know I feel strongly about the fact that you really don't have to buy high-end makeup if you don't want to. You can get extremely good quality at the drugstore, and I feel like these lipsticks are the perfect example of that. The only downside is that they only come in 5 shades, so you obviously have to find a shade that you love within those 5. I feel like between the 5 shades, there are, great options, but they are probably missing like a good deeper nude, maybe like a lighter, softer pink. So I feel like there is room for improvement in that area, but the quality is really great. So those are the best drugstore launches of 2025 so far. Obviously, according to me, I would love to hear from you. What are you loving? What have you tried so far this year? I'm curious to see what brands are going to launch in the second half of 2025. I definitely think we'll see more lip balms. I feel like lip stains are going to be coming out soon because summer is right around the corner. e.l.f. just launched one, which I did order, so I'll be testing that out soon. Hard Candy just launched one that I talked about in a recent video as well. I feel like we might see some more like glowy, dewy cheek products. I don't know that we'll see a lot of eye products. I feel like eye products are not going to be as big this year. They haven't been in the beginning of the year, but I don't think that will change in the second half of the year. But I'm sure we'll see more complexion launches as well. I'll be here to test them out, to review them for you on my channel. If you like hearing about drugstore and affordable beauty, that is my main focus. I like high-end makeup too, but overall, I just think the drugstore does such a good job these days. It's harder to justify buying from Sephora or higher end brands if you don't want to, or if you don't have the budget for it. So if you like drugstore and affordable makeup, I have a ton of videos like that on my channel. I'll link a few on the screen for you, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye.